Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Punkify here for MMOBomb.com, and welcome to our first impressions of Dogs of War. Dogs of War is a turn-based strategy that's been developed by Cyanide Studios, who made the really popular Blood Bowl series on PC, which is of course based off of the Blood Bowl tabletop game. They're also making Blood Bowl 2. They've made games such as Of Orcs and Men, and even a Game of Thrones game. So their background in development is pretty significant, if to say anything, especially when it comes to turn-based strategies. Dogs of War, of course, is currently in closed beta on Steam, but they're currently ongoing a special stress test weekend, as you can see here, whereby players can play for free, just jumping into the game and trying it out up until Monday. The game will be free to play, of course, when it comes out officially, but for now, just enjoy this first impressions preview of it. So, Dogs of War is based off of actually another tabletop series called Confrontation, which came out in the early 2000s. And it is revolving around three different factions warring against each other. These three fantasy-based factions are the Wolf, Ram, and the Lion. And right here is a prime example of the Ram faction. They are the undead characters. They have a lot of slow-moving but high defense, high attack minions who can frighten the enemies when they get close and can deal brutal strikes to them while preventing them from really dealing a lot of damage back to them in melee range. They are very susceptible to quick attacks and to those who can hit them from afar. On the flip side of this, we have the Lycans of sorts. They're the Wolf faction, and they are able to do a lot of, high burst attacks with like multiple attacks per turn, get in close, basically walk across almost half the map in one turn. And but they're not exactly the tankiest. They can not take too much damage, a little bit squishy. And then finally, the last one is the Lions, which I do not have a slot unlocked for them, so you can't actually see a preview of them. But the Lions are basically the light warriors. They have access to all the light-based attacks. They have magicians, or not magicians, wizards, if you will. Not, I'm going to do a trick for you. They also have, the normal knight style guys, the archers, all the human-type characters. So as you can see, this is my army layout right now. I have two necromancers, a crane warrior, and a skeleton archer. The necromancers are able to summon these little bone puppets that they can command. If they die, the bone puppets die. They also can explode them at range, but in order to actually unlock the ability to explode them, they have to level up. So you notice my necromancers are level 2. They have unlocked the ability Morbid Explosion, which I can see under talents. I could have also chose to get Respite of the Dead, which will allow me to heal my minions, but has a chance of also doing damage to them. So I just went with the ability to blow them up. I can always summon more of them. Might as well just make them into walking bombs. So let's go ahead and just play a game before we show you all the other things available currently in the closed beta. There are two different modes available right now. King of the Hill is something I will be able to get eventually in the future, but is currently unavailable. Deathmatch mode is fairly simple. You play against another player until both teams are wiped out, or one is wiped out rather. Elimination VIP mode allows you to assassinate or escort, one team being the defensive and the other team being the aggressive. So I'll queue up for both and see which one we get. We have our army here sort of laid out. If I had more units, I would be able to unselect one and then select a different unit to use in its place. And you notice these are all contributing towards my mercenary numbers and my AP level. You get more mercenary levels as you level up, allowing you, or mercenary slots rather, allowing you to put more minions in here, which will of course raise your AP level, meaning that you go against players who have similar AP levels. In fact, if you go against someone who has less AP than you, it will ask you to remove a certain amount of units so that it will get closer to that range in order for it to be more balanced. It looks like it's going to be a mirror matchup versus Unnamed. I forget what the name of his army was, but my name is the Spunks. This is this company's name. They're pretty awesome here. Alright, let's go ahead and get this going. So what does he have access to? He's got some skeleton warriors here. They're always a pain to deal with. We got a couple of skeleton archers and then a gargoyle. Now the gargoyle is going to be his main go-to guy, sort of like my crane warrior, but I'm pretty sure my crane warrior can go toe-to-toe with him. He's got fear of 17. He's only got a fear of 13, but he has flight, so he can basically cross across this whole entire area without having to wait or go around the side. So I'm going to bring these guys back over in this corner here. Don't want to put them too close though, because they can actually get boxed in there pretty easily. I'll put him right in front, and then I'll put the archer in this corner. So I should be able to just pick all across everybody. Hopefully pick out the archers before and pick out the gargoyle before the skeleton warriors make their way over to me. I'm not really worried about the skeleton warriors too much because I'm able to cast and summon these morbid puppets, and the puppets can go just fight them for me, and I can just summon as many as I want as long as I have the mana to do so. You can see the mana amount right here, and you get 2 mana each turn. The mana itself, the cost for the puppets is 2, so I basically every turn can summon 2 up to a max, or summon 1 up to a maximum of 2 out at a time. If the necromancer dies though, I lose those puppets, so I have to keep them alive, have to protect them. They're somewhat high HP, but they aren't as tanky as, say, this big dude right here, the crane warrior. So what to do? Well, I kind of want to just go pick them off, but the problem is if I move up here, I can probably put myself in a bind because of the fact that all these guys here are just going to run right up to him. So I can make 2 actions. I'm going to go ahead and select my archer here. He's got a 50% chance to do damage from that far away. I can move up, which would allow me to do potentially more damage. 80% chance damage. 80% chance to do damage to him. He won't dodge it or parry it or anything like that. 65, 65, 45% chance. Oh, I didn't get to activate. I was bad, guys. I was really bad, and I did not get to use my turn to activate and shoot him. There is a really low timer, only about 30 seconds, which doesn't make it conducive, isn't conducive rather, to commentating on it at the same time. But luckily for me, he's not able to use that archer. He can use this archer though, but the archers will actually do reduced damage for every sort of terrain in the way, as well as enemies and units alike, like your allies. So you do have to sort of have open shots. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get the hits in that you want. All right, so I'm going to move this guy over here, back in the corner. And because I didn't move the maximum distance, I can now summon one of my little bone warriors here. What I like is the fact that you can zoom in really close, see the action up close, or you can zoom out and see the whole thing from a tactical point of view. You may notice that there's also these bars up here. These icons up top indicate the number of actions or units that you still have actions to do on. Once those reach 0, the turn will end. You also have these abilities down below. Now these abilities are 1-time use or 2-time use per round or per the actual full game. So if I hit defensive stance, I will increase my defense for 5 for the turn, and then I'll only be able to do that 1 more time whenever I want before I run out of those. Defensive stance, speaking of that, is actually really good to have. Let's go ahead and move him over here. Defensive stance is really good to have because of its ability to basically make you super tanky at the cost of one of your attacks. So if I put it on the crane warrior here, he actually will be unable to attack if he had any attacks left, but he'll be able to weather any kind of attacks that are incurred on him, and he can actually reactionary strike against that. So if you're attacked, whether you attack behind or in front, what happens is your character will indeed react to that attack and attack that character back. Just once though. So if that character has 3 attacks, he'll attack you once, you'll get reactionary struck back, and then he'll get 2 more attacks with no sort of damage in between. It's hard to sort of explain it all. I'm really sort of worried about that guy just flying all the way across. This is his range, as you notice. He can get all the way over here with flight, so he pretty much can go across the board, but he can only go up to this amount and do damage. So he can actually charge my skeleton. I should have looked at the distance before. He can charge my guy right there, so I'm going to move right here. There we go. I'm going to move right there, and then I'm going to go ahead and put myself into defensive stance. Alright, so defensive stance, of course, will allow me to weather any extra damage in case he does choose to attack with that guy, but he's most likely going to go for my skeleton archer. Hopefully, though, this makes him think twice about going against the archer, simply for the fact that I have this big brutish guy next to him who may be able to deal extra damage to him starting next turn. Alright, now that I've sort of explained all of these baseline mechanics, we can actually play the game. So as you can see here, he's now moved up his gargoyle. Doesn't look like he's going to do anything. He still has 1 action left, which is the skeleton warden behind. He's going to choose to go around the right-hand side here. So he did not choose to go the entire range. And my skeleton warrior, or my skeleton archer, remains alive. He lives to fight for another day. 90% chance to deal damage. I want to shoot you. How do I shoot you? Okay. Oh no, he gets to go first. Okay, so he's choosing to hit my bone warrior, my crane warrior, if you will. I'm going to choose to move over here. Now, he can't use that guy, so I have to choose. Do I want to attack someone who I think will deal damage to me this turn, or do I want to attack someone who I think will deal damage to me next turn and needs to be taken on the back? I kind of think I should take these guys out. However, yeah, let's go ahead and take these out. All right, so I'm going to attack him for 12 damage. I'm going to do quite a lot there. It's the time for the enemy to activate. Now, he has a maximum distance. He's also going to go for 12 and get light wound on me, which means my attributes, as you can see, are slightly reduced by 1. Attack's going to be reduced by 1. Defense, rapidity, which is my ability to basically get away from attacks, etc., and as well as be able to attack other people who are trying to get away from me. All that stuff is reduced by 1. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start sending up my bone warriors. I want to wrap up this gargoyle as much as possible, just because of the fact that he has to deal with him before he moves on. You know, basically keeping him away from everybody else. He can choose to go around him, but he could risk incurring a free strike from me. Nope, he looks like he's going to decide just to go back into his spot there. I'm going to then choose this opportunity to summon yet another bone warrior. They're just going to stay back here as long as possible. I could move this guy up and explode that one, which is something that I'm going to think about doing. But first, I'm going to move this guy up here just to sort of gum up the works afterwards. Can't do this guy yet. I chose not to move him, only chose to do an action. If you don't move first, you can do your action, but then you can't do anything else. So he did clear the way for his gargoyle. Now, once you actually kill someone, you get pursuit movement, which allows you to move again and attack again within 1 hexagon in space. In this case, no one else was around, so he just chose to move back and act as like a barrier. Alright, so we're going to go ahead again and charge up to this guy this time. I do 10 damage, which is nice. He's going to attack me for 20 now, and I'm seriously wounded, but he's now engaged with me. So again, he has to either choose to kill me or choose to run and takes free strikes. We'll see what he does. He's going to opt to move up his other warrior here, just kind of get them in position. Alright, now, this is what I'm going to do. I am going to, is this guy a bone warrior? Yeah, so I'm going to choose him. I am going to go and opt for Tide of the Dead. Now, because I chose the Crane Warrior while selecting Tide of the Dead, it allows me to do another turn the next time. Let's go ahead and move him up here. It allows me to do another turn the next time I finish the turn for this guy. So I'm going to opt just to move up right about here, so he can't move in between me without incurring free strikes. I'll pass, and then, oh, I think I actually have to do it on Morbid Puppets or the Skeleton Archers. I don't think it actually applies to the Crane Warrior. You're not too much of a skeleton. You still have some meat on you, unfortunately. Alright, so it's okay. He didn't actually use Tide of the Dead. Oh, he walked all the way up there in order to engage. That's alright. I'm just going to walk up slightly here and throw down a bone puppet next to him. It's all about just controlling the areas of engagement for your team. Alright, so I have one more action it looks like I can do for the end of the turn, but unfortunately I do not have the mana to do so, so I can't blow him up. But it's alright, he's still gummed up. This is the only guy left for him to actually move, so he can choose again to attack, which is what he's going to do, and that's all he can do. He can move up and attack me again. I'm going to parry that and hit him for 23 damage because this guy is super defensive. Alright, so my Crane Warrior is going to be the first person that I activate. No, I want to activate it on this guy. Alright, so I'm going to use one of these guys here and activate Tide of the Dead. Now I'll be able to do 2 turns. First thing I'm going to do is attack him for 8 damage. He's going to attack me back. Then I'm going to move. Oh, this guy is next to me. Alright, so I do have to attack him. Do I want to attack him? No. I will, though, dash for 10 damage, killing him. Awesome. So his best unit right now has just died. And now I can move up and get a free strike on him, too. Awesome. So free damage. I take the damage. No problem. That's going to be the end of my activation, going towards the enemies now. We'll see what they do at this point. So I like the fact that these fights can be pretty brutal. You can lose a character from full health within a matter of 1 turn if you get the right character up. The other characters act as sort of fodder, if you will. Man, I really cannot do anything there. I I guess I'll just attack him. He's going to dodge it. He does not attack me back, though. You do incur a penalty if you're in melee range as a ranged warrior. I'm going to parry that again. Instantly get him for 19 damage. This guy is so tanky. That's why I like playing this faction, because the fact that you get all these access to all these cool units that can tank a lot of damage. They inspire fear into everybody. They're not inspiring fear right now simply for the fact that, I mean, come on, undead can inspire fear into other undead, but I like the game. The game is pretty fun. I'm a really big fan of turn-based strategy games, and while the action itself is sort of like slow, it's not, you know, everybody's cup of tea, I find that there is a lot of depth to it so far of what I've seen, and I'm anxious to see what's in store rather. There we go, for the game in the future. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and continue moving this guy over here, just so I can be in range for Morbid Explosion next turn. I don't want to do it this turn, and I don't want to resummon because it'll actually get rid of the guy that's currently on the field. So I'll just pass my turn. And still this guy's turn. This guy can still do stuff. So can this one over here. Alright, so he's going to charge up. He's going to take 6 damage. But let's see. I know what I can do. Alright, so what I'm going to do is move here and attack to the side. So I want to move to the side here. Attack. Alright, so I will eliminate him. I'm going to move up again and attack. Now, what I wanted to sort of think about doing, if it wasn't going to kill him, I was going to have him here so that I can Morbid Explosion both of those guys, since this guy is so low HP, and then next turn I would be able to replace. But it looks like he wasn't still able to kill my archer, although my archer really can't do anything and get away. He's going to go ahead, though, and just move up his little skeleton warrior here, take out that low guy, and he can pursuit movement up. Oh, and I finally take damage, but not before dealing 19 damage back. Now, my skeleton warriors, they actually degrade over time. They have a chance of degrading 10% every full turn. So it's sort of like you can't just have them out forever. They will, over time, lose their HP. You can use the heal that I opted not to get in the talents to keep them up, but I just prefer summoning them. Alright, so who am I going to actually go for here? Well, I'm going to go ahead and use another Tide of the Dead so that I can do 2 turns. I will gum up the work here. Oh, I parried it. He parried it, rather. But it's alright. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select him. Can I use... There we go. Morbid Explosion. Awesome. Right exactly where we need to do it. So I'm going to use Morbid Explosion on him. He's going to do for 9 damage. We'll see what it actually does here. Oh! And seriously wounds all 3 of them. Perfect. That was absolutely perfect. Alright, so now they're all seriously wounded. They can't really hold up to this big brutish guy. He's going to finally kill off my range unit. So really now all I have to worry about is these range units going for my Crane Warrior here. And again, these guys, I mean, he's having to waste all these extra turns just simply to kill. Let's see. I'll throw one up right here as a replacement. There we go. There we are. There we are. All right. And then I will put a defensive on this guy. So he'll be defensive. He'll increase his defense up for 5, which means that if they're trying to throw away these guys to kill him, most likely he's going to be able to dodge this stuff and retaliate and kill them pretty post-haste. So we'll see how this actually turns out. So far I've noticed that the undead army, the rams, really are susceptible to people who get up in their face really quickly. So before I'm able to get all my necromancers up and really just overwhelm me with quick attacks where I can't retaliate. If you're like solo attackers, if you only attack me once or twice and I get that retaliating attack in every time, I can keep up with the damage with a pretty high defense. But if you get 3 attacks in every turn, then I'm unable to sort of weather that storm, if you will. Looks like he did not actually activate anything on that guy. Alrighty, so I don't think I can attack. It did use my 1 attack to be able to do that. I get an extra melee attack for its next strike, but its defense falls to 0 for the rest of the turn. So don't really want to do that, and I can't really attack, I believe. Oh, looks like I can attack. I did have 1 attack, I guess. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead then and just move up. Attack him next to me. And then move up again. No, you can only do it once, unfortunately. It'd be pretty awesome if you could just like perpetually move up through the crowd and just slaughter everybody. But I'm still alive here. I have defense on him. My defense is currently 9. It's pretty low. He scattershot, and it did He aimed for my Crane Warrior, but it ended up hitting my Morbid Puppet. The farther away you go and the lower sort of health and stat attributes you have, the greater chance it is for it to deviate and hit your character next to it. As you can see here, when you look at each of these, you can tell how much damage from their perspective they're going to do. So they're going to do 100%. They're going to hit their target on this. Whereas if they aim for this guy, they have a 70% chance of hitting him or missing him at a 30% chance. And this guy has a 10% chance of getting glanced. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just attack over there because I can. He's going to kill him. Can't really have done anything else, but it's all right. And that will end my activation. So he's got one ranged skeleton warrior left. That's all he could have done. I'm now seriously wounded though, unfortunately. But we'll wait. Alright, so first things first is I'm going to use him to charge. I just go kill this guy. So I'm just going to run up between these guys. Hey, what's going on? Pursuit movement. Now I will attack this guy. And now he is engaged. So if he wants to run away, he will take free strikes from me. Or he can choose to just stay here and attack. I'm pretty sure... Oh, he actually parried it. Unbelievable, guys. He parried the attack, then retaliated for 7 damage. But I'm pretty sure this next turn I will have him... Or at least next round, rather. I'm going to summon a warrior there. And that's pretty much all I'm going to do this turn. Alright, in that. I still have 2 offensive stances, but in reality, I wouldn't want to do them unless I had a first turn and I knew I could kill someone. And then they had like a lot of HP. So he's going directly for my Necromancer, which I am not liking at all. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him over here just so I can take him out. Ooh, just a little bit of damage. And then I'll finish him off with my other Necromancer. Just put right there with the staff. Take him out, no problem. And that's going to be it for my turn. So he just has this guy left, unfortunately. Looks like one of my skeleton warriors did indeed die. I'll just go ahead and charge him. Why not? Oh, no, it's his turn. Okay. So he's going to opt to move away. He's going to try to shoot... Oh, ends up killing one of my Necromancers, which kills off my one skeleton warrior, but it's alright, guys. We're going to offensive stance here. Charge in. If the charge doesn't kill him, my extra attack will from offensive stance. There we go. Oh! Get owned. Alright, so there we go. Victory for me. Now, some of these rounds actually can go by quite fast. Obviously, the more characters you have to kill, or the better the kiting team, then they can sort of progress a lot longer. We're sort of at the 22-minute mark. Each game I've seen averages around 10 to 15 minutes in a deathmatch scenario with that map. With the other maps, it can range a little bit longer because you have a lot more environmental things. There's rough terrain, which slows your movement by 1 as you go through it. And there's things to hide behind, which give you additional bonuses to your defense. So all the maps aren't as simplistic as that. Alright, so missions here, really quickly, is just your ability to gain sort of extra experience or gold. They call them ducats in the game. But it allows you to gain extra currency while not playing. It's sort of like an offline training mode, if you will. However, there are some penalties and costs. For example, the basic one here, you can see 58 ducats, but it costs 10 to actually do it. So the net gain is 48. And you have a 3% chance of having one of your characters injured, which would reduce its stats. However, it's only 3%. You can also just pay 200 gold. You have a less chance of getting injured, but you'll gain 5 experience for the mercenary that you send. So this allows you to sort of increase the mercenary experience or just increase your gold intake by sending one of your units out to battle. And this is sort of the system I talked about of having these away missions and having like consequences to them. One thing I should have mentioned is if you come back from a mission and one of your characters was substantially hurt, he has a chance of being killed. And if he's killed, you have to use what's called a fate card here in order for you to potentially bring him back to life. Now, if you do not have one, or if it's unsuccessful, you will lose that minion or that mercenary permanently. So it's good to always have some fate cards stocked up, and it's sort of like I almost look at it as somewhat of like a repair bill. You just have to have fate cards on you at sometimes because inevitably you're going to start losing some of your characters if you don't. And some of those characters you've invested quite a lot of time and a lot of games into to build up their levels so you can unlock those skills. So you're going to want to have fate cards. That's a little bit of an annoyance to me. I would have much rather just had a permadeath system that was based around you know, a unit not being able to be, you know, or just taking way too much damage in a campaign or something like that. But certainly not something where it feels like a repair grind. However, that being said, I've only had to do it once, and that was in the training mission. It has yet to actually ask me to do it again. I suspect it may be an internal system based off like the amount of times a character dies, sort of like a repair bill if you die in, say, an MMO and your gear gets broken. This is the stores where you can purchase units. Regrettably, units can be purchased with real-world cash, only 2 of them at the time, which basically means that you could purchase whatever you want with in-game currency or with real-world cash, but you'll notice the prices get pretty substantial for in-game currency, whereas real-world cash, we don't know the conversion ratio yet, but it only has 100 of these crystals. So yet to be seen the exact, you know, how easy it is, but 2,390 gold is what I've gotten after playing about 6 or 7 rounds. You also get a little bit of starting gold as well. You'll be able to eventually purchase packs as well as guild equipment, which basically allows you to increase the amount of experience you gain, just basically the bonuses and boosts that you would find in other games. The armor yourself is what we've already gone over. And then, of course, the company management. You get extra slots to unlock for your characters as you keep playing here, or you can click to purchase them, which I'm not really sure how that works entirely. And notice that it says fame. Click here to purchase a unit. You'll be able to purchase a unit to place there. So it looks like these slots are unlocked. Okay, and these slots are locked. I see. So these slots here are already unlocked. I can purchase more units to place in there, which will increase my AP. If I wanted to purchase these, it requires 30 cyan, 30 cyan, 30 cyan. Whereas down here, I will unlock these by reaching fame level 17. I'm currently only fame level 4. So it looks like if you want to play at the highest echelon of group size, you will have to purchase the last 3 slots. That's what it's looking at currently. Keep in mind, it still is in closed beta, and there's still lots more to add. That's going to go ahead and be my early first impressions here of Dogs of War, guys. If you guys want to learn more about the game, I highly suggest you check down below at mmobomb.com for the full game profile. If you happen to catch this while the weekend's still going on, try it out for yourself and let us know in the comments down below what you think of it. I'm going to try to snag myself a beta key so I can maybe live stream this in the upcoming weeks, but if not, we'll just stay tuned for more information for Dogs of War and let us know what you think in the comments. Until next time, guys, Spunkify out. Later.